Welcome back to the channel, family. My name is Excellent Reacts, and today we are watching Pizzagate, the internet's most darkest secret. If y'all enjoy the content, make sure y'all hit that like button, hit that sub button, hit that bell button so you know when I post. With all that being said, family, hit that intro.
I love Dior. I love Dior. I love
Alright, before we even start, if you don't know nothing about Pizzagate, if you get like hella emotional looking at animal, children, just any type of abuse, go ahead and click off the video. If you think you can stomach it, go ahead and watch it. If y'all know about Pizzagate, you already know what we're finna get into. And I think this video is just going to inform us on how it started, getting leaked, and where it's going. So let's go ahead and hop into the video.
Could you imagine a world where the top 1%, the elites of our society, the ruling class, the ones who run the government and are pulling the strings?
I'm not going to try to talk too much because I want to like hear what he's talking about, but I am going to pause it at certain moments to just, you know, let my thoughts out.
I feel like I've heard this story before somewhere. Nowadays, that might not be that hard to believe, but back in 2016, this was something that was unfathomable to most people. How's it going, everyone? Welcome or welcome back. My name is Chase, and today we're talking about Pizzagate. So when Pizzagate started gaining traction during the heated 2016 election cycle on places like Poll, 4chan's political board, it wasn't hard to initially dismiss the whole thing as nothing more than a crazy alt-right conspiracy. But I think it's worth revisiting the theory in modern times, especially in light of recent events. Let me say first and foremost that I have no political bias here, and all I care about is the evidence that has been presented. My goal is not to convince you that Pizzagate is real, nor is it to disprove it. All I'm here to do is present to you the theory as a whole, and all this
Real shit, all this junk is alleged, you know what I'm saying? All this shit is alleged. We just got some evidence and just, you know what I'm saying? Yeah.
supporting evidence, and then you can come to your own conclusions. I'll also note here that I've spent over a month going down this rabbit hole, and every mainstream source is so quick to say that it's debunked and there's no truth behind it at all, but I haven't seen a single one of them actually debunk any of the evidence. But you should obviously take their word for it, because they probably have hundreds of millions of dollars, billions of dollars even, and I'm just a little chud in my room sitting at my computer, so I'm sure they just have more information that I don't and no one else does for some reason. Viewer discretion, of course. We're going to be talking about some dark shit here, so if you don't want to watch that, this is not the video for you. That all said,
like I was saying at the start of the video, man,
I hate to say it, but don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. It really helps me out a lot. Thank you so much for watching, and let's get right into it. Pizzagate sparked in 2016 when WikiLeaks published over 20,000 emails from the inbox of John Podesta, Hillary Clinton's campaign chairman during her presidential run. Immediately after these leaks were published, people online began
if the video that came out of him is real,
many strange
fuck this shit.
and jokes that sparked
That nigga's sick, bro. That nigga's sick.
Going on here. Before we go over some of these emails, it's important to note here that while the interpretations of the coded language within the emails is unsubstantiated, the emails themselves are completely legitimate. The Podesta emails were reviewed and confirmed to be authentic by multiple U.S. intelligence agencies, including the CIA, FBI, and the NSA, which is the National Security Agency. So while the interpretations of these emails can be debated, nobody is disputing the authenticity of the emails themselves. Of course, I can't talk about all 20,000 emails here, and most of them are mundane and irrelevant to what we're here to talk about today, but here are a few of the most notable ones that helped fuel the initial theory. One of the first emails that really caught people's attention was sent by Susan Sandler, a philanthropist and political donor who did donate to Hillary Clinton's
she looked like an actor. Am I tripping?
To John Podesta. The email reads, "Hi John, the realtor found a handkerchief. I think it has a map that seems pizza related. Is it your ruse? They can send it if you want. I know you're busy, so feel free not to respond if it's not yours or you don't want it. I just came from checking the field house, and I have a square cloth handkerchief, white with black, that was left on the kitchen island. Happy to send it via mail if you let me know where I should send it." It's not hard to see why this would catch people off guard. What is a map that seems pizza related on a handkerchief? What the fuck does that even mean? Well, coincidentally, the handkerchief code is a color-coded system that people use to communicate their interests and pleasures non-verbally.
What the
different
fuck?
colors relate to different acts or things that
I heard about the little symbols and shit like that. I think they use food and shit.
Look that up on your own time.
It's
These people are
Pizzagate,
like
but
old boomers, so maybe
they
just
use
communicate
colors? What the
differently and
fuck?
they have some dementia going on. But again, what What is a pizza-related map? What even is that? Another email that caught people's attention was sent to John Podesta by Herbert Sandler, who was at the time a co-CEO of Golden West Financial Corporation, a major political donor to the Clinton campaign.
Adam
Now
Herbert.
Sandler is burning in hell. I'm
Oh.
joking. Rest in peace, Herbert Sandler. I'm sure he did nothing
Oh, damn.
wrong at all. Mary and John,
How he die?
I think you should give notice when changing strategies which have been long in place. I immediately realized something was different by the shape of the box, and I contemplated who would be sending me something in the square-shaped box. Lo and behold, instead of pasta and wonderful sauces, it was a lovely, tempting assortment of cheeses. Yummy. I'm awaiting the return of my children and grandchildren from their holiday travels so that we can demolish them. Thank you so much. I hope you and your gang are well. I miss you both. Best wishes. Throw a Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. Herb. P.S. Do you think I'll do better playing dominoes on cheese than pasta? The thing that stood out as weird to people is that last line. It's just worded in such a strange way. People don't typically refer to eating something as being on something. People online began theorizing that cheese and pasta and these terms used for food were actually code word for something else. That something else being kids, and I know that's quite the leap in logic.
Sounds insane when somebody say that
It's
shit.
not the only example of strange references to food in these emails. Like this email sent from Tony Podesta, John Podesta's brother, would love to get a pizza for an hour. Like again, what does that mean? If we're just talking about lunch, that is not a normal way to say that. Imagine your friend gets a hold of you and they say, hey dude, you want to go get a pizza for about an hour? Like what? What does that mean? This one is in a long
What do that
chain of
mean?
emails, so I'll spare you from me reading the entire thing, but the part that stood out to people here was Bonnie will be Uber service to transport Ruby, Emerson, and Maeve Lozado, 11, 9, and almost 7, so you'll have some further entertainment, and they will be in that pool for sure. Excuse
What the
me?
fuck?
What? That obviously sounds really bad.
They didn't even use
and
code for that shit. They
unfortunately,
just said
there's
it flat
no
out.
context that makes it sound any better. And it just gets weirder because there's a whole nother rabbit hole to go down with this woman. Reportedly, Lozado ran a website known as Evie's Crib, which was kind of like a blog. It's hard to confirm because as soon as people started talking about this, it was removed almost immediately. But if this blog is real, it looks really bad. The website apparently featured many pictures of Lozado around young children, including her step-granddaughter, Evie. The header of the website reads, Evelyn is growing up. Soon she will be the queen of the entire US of A. Right now, for a limited time only, you can spend some time with her online, raw and uncut. Take advantage
the
of this
fuck?
now, as in the future she will have the power of life and death over you. First of all, why are people spending time online with your granddaughter at all? And then raw and uncut, that is just a really weird way to describe that. Whoever was running this website categorized these posts with labels so you can find exactly what you're looking for easily. Posts were labeled under categories such as psychopath, evil white bitch, filth, malpractice,
What the fuck?
discomfort, manipulation, and Ambien. Sorry.
What the fuck?
Ambien, for those who don't know, is a prescription drug that is classified as a hypnotic and is used to treat insomnia short term. One of the side effects of Ambien is that it wipes your memory. Many people have no recollection of anything else that occurred or what they did after dosing. Why would that be a category on this blog that she apparently uses to post pictures of her children and grandchildren? That's really anyone's best guess. Another picture on this blog shows a baby after bath time, and while not inherently sinister, it's definitely a little bit weird even though you can't see anything. But the caption here is what really stands out. It ends with, unrated version of this photo available only to premium subscribers. At the
What the
absolute
fuck?
best, if this website is real, which again I can't confirm, this is an incredibly weird and tasteless joke to make. This is something that I feel uncomfortable
Bro,
with.
if it ain't real and somebody
We'll
making
cover
fake
right
shit
now,
like that,
written by Maria
that's even
Abramovich
weirder,
and
you know what I'm
Tony
saying?
Podesta, and later forwarded to his brother.
That's why I feel like it's real, because I don't think nobody just be making no fake. You know what I'm saying?
Pushed the boundaries of performance art as a visual art form since the 1970s. Personally, I would just say that she's a freak, but anything is art, right? Dear Tony, I am so looking forward to the spirit cooking dinner at my place. Do you think you will be able to let me know if your brother is
I heard about
joining?
spirit cooking. They got photos of that.
Marina Abramovich. I think I called her Maria a second ago, but anyways, it seems innocent enough at first glance, But what is spirit cooking? I mean, probably just some unconventional or traditional way of cooking if I had to guess, but it actually turns out that's not what it is at all. You see, spirit cooking is an art form or occult ritual invented
Crazy.
by Abramovich, inspired by the idea that ghosts feed off of intangible things like light, sound, and emotion. For this reason, her recipes involve things like evocative instructions for actions and thoughts.
I thought she'd
and
be using like
bodily
pig
fluids.
blood.
A few excerpts from her cookbook are as follows. With a sharp knife cut deeply into your middle finger of your left hand, eat the pain. Look
What
in
the
the mirror
fuck?
for as long as it is necessary for your face to disappear. Don't eat the light. A moment ago, I referred to spirit cooking
The
as an
fuck?
art project or an occult ritual, and I wasn't being facetious. This is how Abramovich herself views her work. In an AMA on Reddit, Marina says herself that the context is what makes something art or not. Quote, "Everything depends on which context you are doing what you are doing. If you are doing the occult magic in the context of art or in a gallery, then it is art. If you are doing it in a different context, in spiritual circles or private house or on TV shows, it is not art. The intention, the context for what it is made and where it is made defines what art is or not." So in her own words, they are doing an occult ritual. If you're curious to see this spirit cooking,
For
you
real
can find
though.
a video online of Abramovich giving one of these artistic performances herself as demonstration.
Is that
The video
Goblin?
shows Abramovich writing phrases from her cookbook on a wall in pig's blood and then dousing the statue of a small child in it. Now, of course, there's no way to say for sure if John Podesta attended this spirit cooking event or not, but coincidentally, in photographs from around that time, John Podesta can be seen with a band-aid on his left hand's middle finger. And people online have also mentioned that his hands, and particularly his fingers, are awfully scarred, as if they've been deeply wounded repeatedly. But I'm sure that's unrelated. Clearly, these are really bad optics, and we've already reached a point where the absolute best case scenario is that these people are involved in the occult and are doing blood rituals in private. People who are powerful, ruling class members of society are being invited to, in private, perform ceremonies and worship old world gods like Moloch and Baal, but more on that in a second. This is where James Alphonsus and his world famous pizza come in, and it only gets weirder. So who is James Alphonsus? Well, he's an entrepreneur who owns Comet Ping Pong, a pizza restaurant located in Washington, D.C., and also a location that was frequently mentioned in the Podesta emails. And he's also one of the most powerful and influential people in the nation that you've never heard of. Despite being
For real?
nothing more than a restaurant owner, GQ listed him as one of the 50 most powerful people in Washington in an article published in 2012. GQ writes,
Never heard of this man.
20-somethings in khakis
Before this.
drink beer and eat pizza at Alphonsus-owned Comet Ping Pong. More established progressives wine and dine next door at Alphonsus-owned Buck's Fishing Camping. Alphonsus is also the board president of Transformer, the contemporary art gallery that shamed the Smithsonian for removing an installation offensive to right-wingers. When it comes to DC radical chic, Alphonsus is unsurpassed. If you don't know him, you aren't wearing your scarf right. So basically, this restaurant owner is the pretentious king of the woke. And if you're left-wing and you
Woke
know
man.
who James Alphonsus is, you must not be wearing your scarf right. Get out of my pizza shop, you peasant. When it comes to radical chic in DC, I am undefeated. Anyways, if this guy is one of the 50 most powerful people in our nation's capital, he must make some pretty good pizza or have connections somewhere else, right? Well, James Alphonsus is a gay man who was involved in a relationship with David Brock, who was chief of Media Matters, a major media organization tied to the Democratic Party, until he left in 2022. David Brock also founded Correct the Record, a super PAC created in 2016 to support the Clinton campaign. At a surface level, this doesn't seem that weird, and it does help explain some of the political power and influence that James Alphonsus has. But then people found his Instagram account, @JimmyComet, and as you can probably guess, it only gets weirder. We'll start with this picture that he had up on his Instagram showing a young child being held in a man's arms. Nothing wrong with that, but the caption of this picture is Hashtag chicken lovers. Chicken lover is well-known coded language that was used in the 1994 documentary film Chicken Hawk that focuses on homosexual relationships with a large age gap. An age gap so large that it makes the relationship itself criminal. There's also this image
What
that
the
appears to
fuck?
be of a walk-in cooler being referred to as the kill room in the comments. Alphontis captioned this picture, "Oh yeah, this looks fun," and then he went into the comments under his own post and wrote hashtag murder. And like with everything else here, this is really only barely scratching the surface. There are countless weird pictures and captions from the Jimmy comment Instagram, and if we went through all of them, we would be here all day.
If your phone has the answer,
Okay, thank you for the ad, cause what the fuck, bro? They throwing this shit in our face, nigga. What the fuck? They throwing this shit in our face. This shit ain't right, bro. I'm getting low-key emotional a little bit. Hold up, man. I'll see y'all after this ad, bro.
There's this picture of a young child with euros in his mouth, and Jimmy comment writes, hashtag Karis James loves spending euros. There's this picture of a baby doll holding a sign that says, German baby, $1,200, please do not touch. Jimmy comment writes, way overpriced. There's this picture of a young child with their hands taped to a ping pong table. And in the comments again, someone else writes, hashtag Karis James. Karis James seems to be a recurring thing referenced in Jimmy comments captions and comments, and it's really anyone's best guess what that could be. But coincidentally, there is a small Caribbean island or island named Little St. James. That Caribbean island named Little St. James happened to be owned by a now very famous financier who was from New York. I'm sure you've seen that guy's name in the news recently. And of course, this was years before anyone
That's
knew what was
crazy.
happening at that island. That wouldn't come until 2019. Then people realized
That's
that
so
Jimmy
fucking,
Comment's profile
bro. Think about that shit. Niggas tapped in, right? That's where it ended, at that island. Niggas didn't know what the fuck was going on for the next 3 to 4 years, nigga. The next 3 to 4 years. And I guarantee all that shit we saw in 2016, that's the thing. But the thing is, I didn't see this shit until 2019. But then the 2016 shit started popping back up, so that's how I found that out. This shit's crazy, bro. This shit's, yo, bro. Wicked out here.
picture on Instagram wasn't a picture of him, it was actually a picture of a statue. Nothing weird about that, except that this specific statue was the statue of Antinous. Antinous was a Greek pubescent who got involved in a relationship with Roman Emperor Hadrian, who was in his late 40s, and he's specifically known as the Greek boy lover. Now, this wasn't seen as anything bad in the ancient world societal norms, but of course we look at that a lot differently today. And this easily could have just been a coincidence, but in the bigger picture and everything else being considered, it's not hard to see why it would raise some questions. And that's really what this entire theory is based off of. How many coincidences are you willing to overlook in order to believe the official narrative that there's nothing else going on here? Even if you think this is just a bunch of conspiracy nonsense.
I never believe in coincidences. I feel like if certain shit lines up, certain niggas saying certain shit, like the piece of shit, if it was only like 1 or 2 times we saw that shit, okay, we probably wouldn't have thought nothing. But like we saw niggas that we didn't know that was powerful, niggas that we did know that was powerful saying this shit, and then what we just saw with the pictures, they posting this shit, like it's just, yeah, I don't believe in coincidences, bro. Everything lines up, bro, on me.
It's not hard to see why so many people buy into it, because in order to believe there's nothing else going on, you have to chalk so many things up to coincidence and just overlook them. The cryptic emails, the occult rituals being mentioned in the emails, the profile picture, the pictures posted on the Instagram. And there's also the elephant in the room of why is this man, who is attracted to other men so he has no kids of his own, spending so much time around so many different young children? Putting aside the weird contexts and captions of these pictures, who even are these children? And clearly I'm not the only one wondering that, because even Snopes notes how strange his Instagram was and how James Alphontis does not have any children, and neither do his closest associates. And they also note how it was privated only 2 days after it was found, so clearly he knew how bad this all looked. And they even say in this same article that Pizzagate is false and it's all nonsense and not real at all. So even they can't just
So then why he
have to address the elephant in the room.
Okay,
and be like,
one question. If it wasn't real, right? Why did that website shut the fuck down? If it wasn't real, I would have kept it up. It ain't nothing weird going on over here. If it wasn't real, why that nigga put his shit on private instead of explaining what's going on? Man, get that shit out of my face, man. You gotta think sometime, like.
Yeah, this guy's Instagram page is really fucking weird, and we actually have no clue who these kids are. And again, that's overlooking all the other stuff. Even if we knew how these kids were connected to James Alphonsus, the pictures would still be really weird. The context of them, the captions, but on top of all of that,
the comments.
A guy with a boyfriend, so the kids clearly aren't his, and his closest associates and his friends don't have any children. While none of this is hard evidence of anything criminal happening, it really does make you wonder what's really going on here, and that's a genuine question. I would love for somebody to explain to me how this is all very innocent in nature and there's nothing weird going on, and I'm open to that explanation, I just haven't heard it. All of this just looks very weird, and it seems like the farther down this rabbit hole you go, you're left with more questions than answers. All I'm saying
For
is
real,
that
though.
when you connect all the dots together,
And it like shit just keep adding on, bruh.
It
It like shit, you get to the child, then you get to the demonic shit, then you get to the... It's just too much, bruh. And they all combined, like...
Instagram. So at the very least, he's a fan of her work, which I would say isn't exactly normal. I don't think I've ever personally met a Marina Abramovich fan, and I think most people don't even know who the hell that is. James
For real.
Alphonsus
Well, they
also
probably do
has
now. They probably
connections
seen
to
photos and
Tony
shit,
Podesta,
especially with the
John
Jay-Z
Podesta's
shit
brother.
dropping.
They are pictured together in what seems to be some sort of campaign or fundraiser taking place at college.
Gotta be like, why are these niggas hanging around these folks,
There
man?
they are. Okay, but that could just be a campaign. It doesn't really prove that they know each other, right? Well, here's another picture from the event that is much more candid, and it was posted to Jimmy Comet. He is literally brushing elbows with Tony Podesta in front of a cake, and side note, this guy is absolutely cheesing. Whether they know each other well or not, clearly Alphonsus is very happy to be there next to Tony Podesta. And this just raises even more questions, especially when you look into Tony Podesta's art collection. And that's a whole nother can of worms that I'm not going to open here. All I'll say is that if you look at this guy's art collection, it feels illegal. It feels like I'm doing something wrong.
I think I know the art he's talking about.
It's all over this guy's walls. When I started researching this, I went in hoping to find answers to some of this, but it doesn't seem like there are any. Everyone's very
It
quick
ain't,
to tell
bruh.
you that this is all conspiracy and it's made up
Fake.
nonsense, and that very well might be the case, but nobody actually shows you where it's been disproven. Now let's talk about some of the symbolism that people have noticed, because I know I've said it a few times at this point, but it really does just get weirder and weirder. In 2007, an FBI document leaked showing specific symbols that predators use to identify each
And
other.
that's where this
While
shit
looking at
get
this
deep.
document, people noticed that these
This shit
symbols
get
appear quite
deep.
frequently in businesses, logos, and imagery of not only Comet Pizza, but surrounding businesses as well. For starters, Comet Pizza had this Play, Eat, and Drink, or PED logo on their website, which many people believe resembles one of these symbols. On the subject of Comet Pizza's website, the website was hacked in 2016, and the hacker shared
And why
a
isn't that-
members only section.
That's
This
another
members only
thing, though. That's how you know the government play a little bit of part in this bitch, too. Because why it got leaked? Why is it not already in the public? Look out for them symbols. If you see them symbols, you know. You know why? If he is, I ain't gonna say nothing in case he explain it, but if he don't, I'll tell y'all why. Hold on.
The area was password protected, but when a password was entered, it brought you to a downloads page. On this page, you're able to download various large zip files, but each one requires a specific download key. Keep in mind, this is a pizza place. What could possibly be the reason to have a members-only section on the website with downloadable files available? And what is in these folders that is so exclusive that each one requires a unique password in order to be able to download it?
Crazy.
This wasn't some staff-only area of the website, which even that wouldn't really make any sense, but there were apparently 110 people in this exclusive pizza club. And again, once this came out, the entire section of the website disappeared, which really does make you wonder why. It's already bizarre that it was there to begin with, but why was it removed once the public found out about it? Again, assuming this is all real, because I don't have a way to verify it myself at this point. It was apparently deleted 10 years ago, but why did they try to bury it? Why did they try to cover it up? What's there that they don't want you to see? While looking into Comet Pizza, some people noticed something peculiar about the logo of Besta Pizza. another pizza place in Washington, D.C., located only 2 blocks down from Comet. Besta Pizza's logo is literally the boy lover symbol from the FBI document. Of course, this could be a coincidence, but again, as soon as people started talking about this online and pointing it out, Besta Pizza immediately changed their logo and removed the symbol. Could they have just genuinely not known this? And then as soon as people started talking about it online, they realize and change it? Yeah,
Man, shut that
to
up.
be honest, Besta Pizza
Hey,
was
for real,
helpful
though,
in
shut that
these
shit up, bro.
situations
Shut that shit
because
up.
if they ignore what's going on and don't do anything, people are going to point to the symbolism and say they're involved. But if they do something like change their logo, people are going to say, oh, well, obviously they did know about this symbolism and now they're trying to cover it up. Some people online have made the claim that Besta Pizza, which is now closed, was owned by Andrew Klein, who worked with the Human Trafficking Prosecution Unit under Obama's Department of Justice. And if that was the case, it would be a glaring red flag and would make the symbolism in the logo being a coincidence seemingly impossible. However, doing my own research, that doesn't seem to be the case, and I would say that there's a very small probability that there's any truth behind that claim at all. The DC Department of Consumer and Regulatory Affairs listed Besta Pizza under the corporate entity Uptown Pizza Inc., and Andrew Klein is listed as a non-commercial registered agent, which means that he was a third party associated with Besta Pizza, most likely a lawyer, but definitely not the owner. I say most likely a lawyer.
And the lawyers be knowing shit too, though.
Firm in Washington, D.C. has an Andrew J. Klein listed as their co-founder.
They definitely know shit to get niggas up out of there.
And real estate clients for over 30 years. And from his picture, he's visibly a different person than the one associated with the Obama administration. If you ask me to point to one part of this theory that I think is most likely to be just a coincidence, it would be this part. And I really do think that these two men are just both named Andrew J. Klein. But who knows? Maybe the lawyer isn't a real person and he's actually a honeypot designed by the deep state in order to make the whole conspiracy more easy to delegitimize. I don't think that's likely, but crazier things have happened. Just across the street
never know,
from
right?
Comet Ping Pong and Besta Pizza is a French restaurant known as Terrasol Gallery. And again, just like Besta Pizza, as soon as people started talking about this logo online, it vanished from their website. They were put into the same lose-lose situation, and again, people took this response and action as an admission of guilt.
Got kids' hands and they got the heart.
So many other coincidences.
Come on
I don't think
now.
that people would have harped on this point so much, but there are so many other coincidences, and people can only lend you so much credence. Also on the Terrasol website was a picture of Hillary Clinton there, and I will not comment any farther on that. She was there though, and that's a pretty strong endorsement. The food was probably really good. Of course, people were also looking into the Comet logo at this time, and while there was no blatant symbology that was mentioned in the FBI document, people did find something strange. Now stay with me because this is gonna sound like a reach, and it did to me at first.
Let's see the man
People
reach.
pointed out that the Comet logo features crescent moons similar to some depictions of Moloch. For those of you who don't know, Moloch is a deity from the Hebrew.
Oh, no, that might be a
strongly
reach. I don't know.
associated with child sacrifice. Some
Never
depictions
know,
of
these
Moloch,
niggas be having
especially later
codes on this
depictions,
shit.
show him with a star on his forehead and 2 crescent moons around either one of his hands. I know this seems like a massive reach, but guess what old world god's name appears in an Instagram post by Jimmy Comet? That's right, in this post on Jimmy Comet's Instagram showing off some Christmas presents he received, if you zoom in on the bottom left, you can see the word Moloch.
Bruh. See, bruh, nah, bruh. It was a reach at first. It was a reach at first. And then when you... Nah. These niggas be putting it in our face, nigga. One reason they do that shit, you know why they do that shit? The majority of the population have never read the Bible fully. Most of this shit in the Bible. Moloch, all them niggas is in the Bible, bro. You dig what I'm saying? And they know like, these niggas ain't reading the Bible for real. These niggas don't got the knowledge of the spirit world for real. They don't know what we can do to them without them. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of shit that goes into this shit, man. And it could just, I don't know, man. This shit just weird, man.
That is so strange. And it's not like it's in a book or anything either. It looks like it's printed out on a single sheet of paper. Personally, I've never received any sort of gift, especially not a Christmas gift, referencing Moloch or any other deity. Maybe this is normal and I'm just out of the loop or something, but to me, that seems really weird. Especially when you keep in mind all the...
Y'all look up Moloch on the internet and see what pops up. Ain't nothing gonna pop up with that nigga. Why then?
ties to the occult and Marina Abramovich.
Dawn Platinum removes 99% of grease. It's the
No, since we had the motherfucking ad. Gonna do it right here. Let me show y'all. Look at this shit. He the only nigga that pops up, bruh. Nothing else pops up. It ain't nothing else connected to that name. Stop playing with people, bruh. Stop playing with people.
This is your call. To stream.
It's all just so strange, and when that's the best case scenario, when the best case scenario is that you do occult rituals and worship old world deities that are connected to human sacrifice, it doesn't exactly leave a positive impression on people. The Pizzagate conspiracy all coalesced into one incident that took place at Comet Ping Pong, and my good friend Mr. Pild is going to jump in and give you the rundown on the entire event.
In 2016,
Mr.
a
Pill.
crazed lunatic, driven mad by absurd conspiracy theories, stormed into Comet's
I remember
pizza
this.
armed with a rifle. Totally incoherent and insane, of course, he starts firing wildly at everyone and hurts no one, and only destroys one very peculiar and convenient item. According to the official Department of Justice narrative, 29-year-old Edgar Welch did indeed
What's
walk
the item?
into Comet's Pizza armed with a AR-15 and a revolver. Customers and employees alike fled, while Edgar himself remained inside of the restaurant for about 20 minutes. What was he doing in there? Well, he found a locked closet door, and he tried to jimmy it open. But when he couldn't, he decided to fire rounds into the door. After that, he didn't try and continue to get inside, he didn't break down the door, he stashed away his rifle and his revolver, walks outside unarmed, and is then arrested and sentenced to 4 years in prison.
I remember
Now,
they
what was
telling
inside
another
that closet
story.
randomly that happened to get hit and destroyed?
They didn't
It was
say
a
all. I don't
computer,
remember.
and everything on it was now gone. I don't know about you, but even before
Ah.
looking deeper into it, even the official narrative is very weird. It's just way too clean for an active shooter event like this. Historically speaking, these are not so happy ending. Authorities
Yeah,
claim
like
that
nobody
the AR-15
died?
and the revolver were recovered inside of the restaurant, and then they discovered a shotgun hidden in his trunk with some ammunition. But one of the only eyewitnesses to this event, a lawyer in Maryland named Sharif, who was there with his wife and kids, claims that Edgar walked in initially with a shotgun. While this whole thing was going down, Sharif was making a series of tweets detailing the situation, while he also claims that Edgar stashed
hold on,
away the
hold on.
shotgun potentially.
I'll go back and read that. Hold up. NBC News. Yeah, when he shot into a comment, I think he was trying to stash the shotgun in the back to use later on. As I was playing ping pong with my wife when we walked in. Talked to the police. I took a. Sheesh. So what do that mean? Why they say the shotgun was in the? What would that small detail, right? How did that small detail change the whole perspective of the story? Because why did they? Okay, the shotgun was in the. He came in with the shotgun. So what was the point of them saying the shotgun was in the trunk? I don't get it.
Of tweets detailing the situation, while he also claims that Edgar stashed away the shotgun potentially for future use. In the official narrative, it does describe Edgar stashing weapons away for potential future use. However, my problem lies in the discrepancy between what kind of weapon, and that's because you don't have to be a firearms expert to tell the difference between a shotgun and an AR-15. They're very
Thanks.
distinct. They have very distinct profiles and silhouettes. Anyways, get this. Edgar Welch.
Even
is
the
an
way you
actor
hold 'em low-key,
listed
you know
as
what I'm saying?
IMDb. Now that alone
Huh?
would be just a crazy, weird coincidence, right? But his father, Harry Welch, owns a media company by the name of Forever Young Productions. You can't make this shit up. That's not where the oddities end, though. Harry Welch is a creature in his own. According to his IMDb bio, Harry Welch is a very, very distinguished fella. Let's take a look at it. Written over 30 screenplays. He took up karate in his 30s. That's pretty late, pretty old to be fighting. And then went undefeated in 200 matchups. Wow.
Yeah.
Holy moly! He holds 7 Guinness Book World Records for one-armed, one-finger, and one-finger-tip push-ups. Very impressive. Not only is he a
Wait,
physical
did
specimen,
for
but
real?
he's got a soft side too. He served as a foster family to 3 different children and is an avid animal lover, being a rescuer of animals for 30 years, rescuing tigers, jaguars, leopards, servals, and operating a no-kill shelter for dogs, housing up to 55 at a time. They have found forever homes for over 300. So sweet. Things start to get a little bit more serious, though, in his bio, saying he worked on federal, state, and local task forces fighting the war on drugs. Served 5 years with the Rowan County ABC Police. Side note, the ABC Police, I don't know what that is or what that
Yeah, what
stands
is that?
for, because I couldn't find any information on what the hell the ABC Police was. Stakeouts, watching illegal stills, patrolling the county for suspected bootleggers, even working with the ATF. Gross. Even the President of the United States in 1988, Ronald Reagan himself recognized the excellence of Harry Welch because he hand-selected him and 15 others to check out various military installations, even giving them national clearance and letting them check out the Cheyenne Mountain Nuclear Bunker, which is a command
the fuck?
for NORAD. That's big boy stuff right there. Why would goofy old Harry, owner of Forever Young Productions, need to explore a nuclear bunker? However, I think the weirdest highlight was one that stood out mainly because of the context. Served as executive director for Protect a Child, a national nonprofit organization to prevent abuse and abduction of children, appointed by Governor Jim Martin to the Governor's Commission on Child Victimization. In conjunction with this story and this conspiracy theory, that's a little weird. But what's weirder is the fact that this Protect a Child organization doesn't exist. At least I couldn't find anything on it. So as far as I know, this doesn't exist. So why would he put it in his bio? That's about as far as it goes for Harry Welch. I couldn't really find anything else, but I want to bring this back to Edgar because his story's not finished yet. So I like to remain skeptical when I dive deep into these subjects. So that way I
Nigga,
don't
Welch on some other shit, bro.
I wanna
ABC
believe
police, what the
mindset,
fuck
you
is
know,
that?
Because I think that's pretty easy. I was asking myself, if he was really a part of this conspiracy, what would he gain from destroying that computer? What would be his motive to do that? And looking into Edgar's past,
Maybe he wasn't trying to destroy it. Maybe he was trying to get it and leak it.
See, previous to the charges that landed him a 4-year sentence after walking into Comet's Pizza, Edgar had struck a 13-year-old child in a reckless driving incident.
Oh,
As
shit.
a man who had previous DWI charges, he was facing a pretty serious sentencing. And if we're playing with the idea that some very powerful people needed a scapegoat or a way to get rid of some evidence or a way to maybe suppress these conspiracy theories that were making their ways out into the public, then I think it'd be a no-brainer if he was left between the choices of leaving his fate and his freedom up to the court system, potentially facing much harsher punishment, or, you know, walk into this pizza joint. Don't hurt anybody. Don't do nothing too bad. Just destroy this computer. Get 4 years, you know, fairly light, and then be on your way. Have your previous charges nullified. It's a good deal. I'd take
What
that
the
deal.
fuck?
Just some food for thought. Well, to finally wrap this chapter up, Edgar didn't even get to enjoy his freedom because 5 years after his release, in January of 2025, Edgar was killed in a officer-related shooting after a traffic stop. Apparently, he pulled a gun on officers, and no one knows why. Sounds a lot like a loose
No,
end tied up to me.
2025, no cameras.
Big thank you to Ethan or
2025, no
for
cameras?
jumping in and going over that whole section. He's a really great dude. I've known him for about 5 years now, which is crazy. Time flies, but he makes really
For
good
real though.
videos. If you like the stuff that I post over here, there's a good chance that you'll like a lot of his content as well. So I'll leave a link to his stuff in the description and in the comments. Go check him out and tell him to post more often. He did a really good job, so I don't feel the need to yap too much about this. But again, just so many coincidences that you have to overlook. What are the chances that this guy is facing serious criminal charges before he decides to do something like this? It's not impossible, but it is a little bit weird. What are the odds that this guy, who happens to be an actor, decides to go into Comet with a rifle and do something like this and nobody gets hurt except the computer is destroyed? That's pretty
For real.
convenient. Not impossible. I mean, maybe he was just a lunatic. Crazy people do crazy
Okay.
things all the time. But again, with everything else,
You just gotta think about it like that. This nigga, think about it. This nigga woke up one morning, got a assault rifle, maybe a pistol. I don't know. He didn't really say no, you know what I'm saying, sidearms or anything. Assault rifle and a shotgun. Police say he came in that bit with an assault rifle. He left the shotgun and in the truck. The nigga on Twitter said he came in with the shotgun. And I guess the other gun, because the other gun was in there when the police came in there. You know what I'm saying? So he didn't shoot nobody. He didn't kill nobody. He didn't do nothing. He ran straight to the door where a computer was. Why is that door locked? Is a question. But maybe it had like staff or whatever only. Maybe that's why it's locked. Maybe that's why. But why did he not kill nobody? He ran in there like he was a shooter. You did what I'm saying? And why did he not kill nobody? And then he just said he passed shit. Might have been right. He probably did that shit just to get a lesser term.
else taken into consideration, it gets harder to ignore these oddities in the story. If it was just a few weird things, it would be much easier to say people are just drawing lines and connections where there really aren't any and it's all just one crazy conspiracy theory. But when every single beat of the story is filled with these coincidences, it gets harder and harder for people to just overlook them and say, yeah, there's no chance that any of this is real. Maybe the official story is 100% true and this really is nothing more than a conspiracy and none of these things are connected at all in any way. But in the court of public opinion, you're going to have a really hard time convincing people of that. The human brain is designed to recognize patterns, so when seemingly all of this stuff is connected, you're going to have a really hard time convincing people that that's not the case. That pretty much summarizes the entire theory, or at least everything that I can cover here in a reasonable amount of time. The whole thing goes so incredibly deep that I would never be able to cover absolutely everything. If this does interest you, I highly recommend going down the rabbit hole yourself because there's just an endless amount of theories and speculation online. But before we go, here are a bunch of other coincidences that I stumbled across when researching that I couldn't really fit into the main portion of this script. First of all, Hillary Clinton, who is seemingly very tied into this whole alleged scandal. She's very connected to all the people who are directly involved. Well,
you're the first ones.
A member of the Clinton Foundation Board of Trustees, who's donated over $100 million to the foundation, helped fund the El Paida project, a project focused on raising the living conditions of refugees. And the logo is literally the exact same as the symbol mentioned in the FBI document for Board. The Besta Pizza logo was pretty on the money with that same symbol. This is literally just that symbol. It's exact. It's not even a different color. It is just a giant blue spiraling triangle. Another person connected to the Clintons is Laura Silsby, the founder of New Life Children's Refuge. She went to Haiti in 2010 to help rehome orphaned children after the catastrophically destructive magnitude 7 earthquake. What a kind-hearted woman, right? Surely she would never traffic children. Well, guess what? She was caught by Haitian authorities smuggling 33 children on a bus across the Haitian border into the Dominican Republic. She was doing this without permission from Haiti, so illegal, and then when she was detained, it became quickly apparent that most of, if not all of these children weren't even orphans. So she took essentially a class of children, took them away from their families, and then tried to flee the country and cross the border. Well, she was held in Haiti facing charges of conspiracy and child abduction until Bill Clinton stepped in and got her charges reduced to arranging irregular travel. She served a 6-month sentence in Haiti and then returned to the United States. And fun fact, this
that ain't weird to nobody.
Tried to smuggle children across the border away from their families has since changed her name to Laura Gaylor and has since been given an executive role at AlertSense, the company that provides the delivery infrastructure for Amber Alert. You know Amber Alert?
Wild!
A child goes missing? Yeah, a woman who was tried for child abduction is working for that company as an executive. That is so awesome. And then when Monica Peterson, the assistant director at the Human Trafficking Center in Colorado, began looking into the Clintons' involvement in Haiti, she was found dead. Of course, this was ruled to be caused by her own volition. Haven't heard that one before, right guys? And then there's one more slice to this story, and one that has largely been forgotten as time has moved on. It's something known as Cheesy Bay. This is the last time you'll hear me say this here, but I'm not asserting that this is true, and you should really take this last part with a grain of salt because it relies heavily on unproven claims. On April 21st, 2016, a Reddit throwaway account posted the question, why would there be 30-something Wi-Fi networks apparently coming from underneath a concrete pad? The user says that they had recently been working on a semi-urban farm property in Honolulu, and he then connected the man who owned the property to an eBay account selling faulty computer parts for ridiculous prices. The eBay accounts allegedly belong to a man going under the aliases Biff Skipman and Dave Flintstone. Someone apparently managed to hack into his emails and found correspondence with Sasha Lord, a DC area mentor for at-risk children, and also the event organizer at Comet Ping Pong. Now, the reason that I specifically mentioned that you should take this part as a grain of salt is because these emails were never fact-checked or verified by any government agency or third-party source, unlike the Podesta emails, so we don't even know if these are true. But allegedly, this eBay seller and the event organizer at Comet Ping Pong had been put in touch by a person named Richard Windsor. Who is Richard Windsor? Well, it happens to be a known alias for the Environmental Protection Agency administrator Lisa Jackson, who is also a Clinton Foundation board member. This part is true. She was caught using the fake email name Richard Windsor for who knows what, right? So it was already known that she had been communicating under the alias.
Nah, gotta be real. Ain't no way. Ain't no fucking way, ain't nah.
Richard Windsor. So it's very plausible that people online
Them emails gotta be real.
Communicating under this alias, and then they added this alias into this theory or story to kind of make it seem.
I don't know though, gang.
Coincidentally, Dave Flintstone, the man who was apparently running this eBay account, also happens to be the name of a man who founded a distillery in Hawaii. If you remember, OP said that they had been working on an urban farm area in Honolulu. This bag from OP's pictures also resembles a bag that Dave Flintstone has been photographed with. And there's one more email from the Podesta leaks that I haven't mentioned to you yet. Man, I miss you. The next 3 months are going to be rougher internally than in Beijing. Between 7th and 1600. No fun. Hope you're doing okay. I'm dreaming about your hot dog stand in Hawaii. This email was sent from Todd Stern, another Democratic donor and a person tied in with the Clintons. That seems like a weird thing to say. I'm dreaming about your hot dog stand in Hawaii. Well, this is a very recent revelation, but in April of this year, a man named David Flintstone, who is a resident of Hawaii, was arrested in Colombia for soliciting a minor. Upon responding, the officers found the 60-year-old foreigner in the company of a 15-year-old. Initial investigations indicate that the man had arranged an encounter with her worth 1 million pesos. The David Flintstone that was arrested in Colombia also happens to be the same age as the one who founded the dispensary. They're both 60 years old. For whatever reason, the man's face is blurred in the article.
And you know why I blurred.
For sure if this is the same person, but if these are two different
too much connections.
Wild coincidence, because they would
they
have
find
to
that nigga face, they gonna connect it to her.
The same last name, be the same age, and both be from Hawaii. And even though the man arrested in Colombia had his face blurred, they do vaguely resemble each other, especially in the body structure. As of right now, like I said, there's no official confirmation that these are the same people, so we'll just have to wait and see if anything else comes out. But those odds have to be like 1 in a billion. That is
on me, bro.
Especially in Hawaii. I just looked it up, and the population is under 1.5 million people, so it's a very small state. Anyways, guys, that's it for me. Please let me know in the comments
crazy,
what you think
bro.
about all of this, because I'm very curious to hear what you guys take away and what your opinions are. Do you believe the theory? Do you think that it's all nonsense, or is the truth somewhere in the middle? Again, thank you so much for watching, especially if you made it all the way through. I really
feel like some of it nonsense and some of it like true.
If you enjoyed,
the majority of this shit is true, bro.
Will be in the description and in the comments. Again, one more time, thank you so much for watching. My name is Chase, and I'll see you again in the next video.
Make sure y'all go over there and watch Chase, get him some love over there. Tell her Excellent React sent you. You know what I'm saying? This video got wicked. You know what I'm saying? Got real dark, which he said was gonna happen. It just, I don't know, bro. You just, when you live a certain life, you don't be thinking like shit like this. Like, you only imagine off of like movies and games and shit like this could happen only in the movies. Then you start thinking, where the niggas will be making the movie? Where did they be getting these ideas from? They be saying drugs and dreams and all. Some of this shit ain't no drugs and dreams, gang. Know what I'm saying? Like that one movie, eyes closed shut, eyes wide. Y'all know what I'm talking about, bro. Like that movie. That nigga was trying to tell. Then there's a conspiracy on that one. It's just a lot of things, bro, that these elite billionaires, trillionaires. I heard a nigga say, when you get to a certain point, nigga, money don't even matter. It's secrets. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't even want your money, nigga. Do something. Let me catch some on the video real quick. Like, so it's just like crazy out here, man. But with all that being said, let me know what y'all think down in the comments below. Do y'all think this shit real? Do y'all think it's fake? Is y'all in the middle? Like, just let me know. Like, whatever y'all thinking, let me know, bro. Cause for real, like this shit, if you read the Bible, bro, you know it says that we're gonna see a lot of this. And we at the beginning. Like, folks think this the ending. Like, nah, gang. It's just gonna get worse from here, bro. So, y'all stay blessed, stay in your Bibles, Jesus, all that good stuff, man. And I will see you all later.